Welcome back to the second Let's Play on Ultimate Feed the Beast. I'm Dar Villous. Today, I'm going to attempt to finish the house here. As you can see, I've actually done quite a bit of work on it after digging up some more resources. I'm going to start a mining tunnel here in a moment, and we're going to go try to find some diamonds and gold. We're in desperate need of gold. If we can, I'm going to build a pulverizer, probably a minium stone. This looks to be a good spot to start our mine shaft. So I'm going to punch out this wall here, well, take out this wall, and we'll put the staircase down and under this other staircase. And, ooh, yeah, that doesn't work. So I'll move it over one. It's a little snug in the stairs, but that should be fine. So we'll just dig our way down here and look for some gold, and maybe we can get lucky and find a diamond or two. As I was mining along, I happened to stumble across this zombie spawner. Hey, look, emeralds. And, destroyed the spawner. Dug up some cobblestone. I actually tunneled in from underneath. So I took the spawner out before I dealt with the zombies. And now I'm just going to gather up, of course, the mossy cobblestone. Now, this is connected to a ravine, and we're not too terribly far from the house, the base. So this is going to be an excellent location to come back to, and it is attached to the stairwell underneath the stairs, so the mine shaft. It's a wonderful little location, and as you can see, a pretty good-sized ravine down there with some lava. We'll have to come back and explore this later. So I'm down in the bottom of the ravine, just digging around. I saw the lava, and I decided I'm going to need some to start my Thaumcraft here soon as I find some gold. And since I had a couple buckets from picking up out of various chests, I figured I would come down and gather up some of these source blocks of lava. Just, never can have too much lava buckets around early on. Eventually we'll have a way of making lava with one of the machines, but at this point we kind of are dependent on gathering it as we go. It's a little odd the source blocks of lava aren't going down. Because the lava isn't going down, I'm just going to put in a couple blocks of cobblestone here, kind of force it to go. Ooh, gold. That's kind of nice. So I'm going to have to, I guess it's because it's connected to lava down there, I'm going to break this out so I can collect the gold. We've been looking for that. We need it to build some machines, in particular pulverizers and powered furnaces. Oh, a couple pieces of gold. That's even better. So let's see if we can't clear this out and get the lava to drop down and go away. That's 3 buckets of lava. That should be enough for now. Let's see if we can't just separate it off so it just kind of goes away. I don't see another source in here. Well, okay. So we're going to use our iron pick here to break the gold, mine the gold. You have to have an iron pick or better for gold. And now that we have that, alright, we have some room still. We can take the gold back up and start our Thaumcraft. Now, as you can see, we have a fair amount of ore to process. Now, I've put off processing the ore because I wanted to get some gold so I could make a pulverizer. If you're familiar with IC2, you know a macerator will take your ore and turn it into dust. And it turns one ore into 2 dust, which you can then make into ingots, effectively doubling the yield for, wonderful gold bar, doubling your yield out of your ore. A pulverizer is added by thermal expansion. It does the same thing, except it has a secondary output, and there's a % chance, depending on what ore you put into it, that you can get some secondary dust out. For example, copper, I believe copper ore will give you a piece of gold dust as a secondary output. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to make a minimum stone, because one piece of gold is not going to do it. So it's a bunch of the minimum shards that we've been collecting from monsters, surrounded by this inert, or surrounding an inert stone, which is just gold, iron, and regular stone. This is why we need the gold. As soon as this stone finishes, we're going to make our inert stone and our minimum stone. Okay, so again, it's just some stone in the corners with a piece of gold in the middle, and the edges are filled with iron. And there's our inert stone. And then we take our shards minimum, surround the inert stone with those, and there's our minimum stone. This is an extremely useful tool. It's added by the Equivalent Exchange mod. While we wait for the last pieces of gold and iron to smelt for us, we're going to make ourselves a storage for our enchanting books. Now, BilboCraft has this really cool bookshelf, which I just crafted. It's just 3 slabs and 6 pieces of wood, and it lets you put books into it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to walk over to this wall, and we're going to put a couple of them up here, and it lets you, if you put the book in your hand, you just right-click the book on the shelf, and it will just stick it up on the shelf. Again, it's just real simple. It has an interface you can right-click and open. You can put books in and out from there if you want, or you just right-click on the shelf. You can also, if you with an empty hand, you can right-click on the book, and it will pop the book off the shelf. So it's a really cool interface. Wonderful mod. They add a lot of stuff in this mod with armor stands and other functional decorative items. But I digress. To make our pulverizer, we need a redstone reception coil, which is just a bar of gold with 2 pieces of redstone. There it is. We're also going to need a piston. We'll need some copper, and we'll need a couple pieces of flint. And of course, we're going to need the machine frame. Now, the machine frame is just a piece of gold with some glass and iron around it. While we cook some glass, what we're going to do is we're going to turn our attention to the fact that we don't have enough gold to actually make everything we need to make at this point. We're going to take our minimum stone, and we're going to take 8 stacks of iron to make a gold ingot. You may have noticed that when we had 4 iron ingots in with the minimum stone, it gave us the option to craft a ender pearl. It's a good way of getting ender pearls without going out and having to hunt down endermen. Now that we've managed to smelt our glass and get our iron, we can make our machine frame, which is the last component we needed to craft in order to make our pulverizer. With the machine frame, we can then take a little bit of flint, the reception coil, copper, and of course a piston, and now we have a pulverizer. Now the pulverizer runs off of BilboCraft power, or MJs, so we're going to need an engine. Now at this stage of the game, a Stirling engine is a very simple, good engine. It just uses a couple stone gears, a piston, a piece of glass, and some stone. It runs off of pretty much anything that will burn in a normal furnace, so we can use the charcoal, coal, wood. Now in order to make the stone gears, we need some sticks because we actually have to make a wooden gear first. So we're going to make some wooden gears, and then you just surround it with 4 pieces of cobblestone, and that will give you a stone gear. We're going to need 2 of them. I made a couple extra wooden gears. We're going to need those for another Stirling engine later on, so I'm not too worried about it. So now we're going to make our Stirling engine. It's just, again, the stone across the top, a piston in the bottom, in the center, a piece of glass in the middle, and then a couple stone gears on either side of the piston. And that's going to give us a Stirling engine. Now the hard part here is going to be where do we want to put the pulverizer and the engine. Now I could put them upstairs, but at some point I'd like to use redstone energy conduit, so I'd rather not. I think I will put it up here. Now I'm going to move the furnace so I can put the Stirling engine where it was to power the pulverizer. And I'll probably just move the furnace around the corner here. But I'm going to need to be able to get at the Stirling engine to fill it with charcoal or coal or fuel while it's running. Now the pulverizer does have an internal battery. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I got to put in a lever to power the Stirling engine. Well, not power it, but to tell it to turn on. So engines in general need a redstone signal in order to turn on, as well as whatever their fuel is. I view it like a light switch. So I'm going to actually use a lever to turn on my Stirling engine. Without fuel, it won't do anything. So we'll give it some fuel and turn it on here in a second. The pulverizer itself has an internal battery, and it will hold a certain amount of MJ, which is what the engine will produce. So even if the engine isn't running, it is possible for the pulverizer to keep going until it runs out of its internal storage of power. Very useful to know in the event that you need to move the Stirling engine from one machine to another until you get something more permanent in place, like a network of redstone energy conduit. Now let's grab a little fuel and something to pulverize. Okay, now you see there's no energy there. Threw a little fuel in, turn on the engine, and voila. The engine's now pumping in, and if you look, you can now see we're slowly getting MJ stored internally. Even if we shut the engine off, that MJ will not drop unless the machine is actually doing something. Now the engine, it has to pump in a certain amount of power before the machine will actually do anything. So as you can see, we put in a stack of stuff. It's not doing anything yet because it doesn't have enough energy. I'm going to cut the camera, and I'll come back once the pulverizer has actually pulverized some stuff. We're back, and as you can see, we got some pulverized nickel and a little bit of pulverized iron. Now the beauty of this stuff is we can throw it into the furnace and it will just smelt and turn into ingots just like it would normally if you threw the iron ore in there. So you get more out of those individual pieces. So I got a whole bunch more ore to pulverize. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a day here. We have a pulverizer up, we have a Stirling engine, we have a lot more to do though obviously. We're going to try to get some redstone energy conduit. We're going to try to get a harvester up so we can start doing some tree and wheat farms with planters with Mine Factory Reloaded. And then we're going to try to get a new power system in that won't require us to keep refilling these Stirling engines. So I hope you join us next time, and until then, dig safe.